been a few days since I've seen Alien Romulus, and it's given me a few days to ponder over how this film kind of reminds me of Scream 5 and Scream 6, and maybe some of the pitfalls that we're heading for. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to A Nightmare on Review Street, and don't forget to drop a like and comment on this video. And for those that are dropping likes and comments, every video this summer that gets 100 likes and 100 comments, you get a chance to win this Puppet Master Blu-ray box set. Free, even in the shipping. All you gotta do is drop a like, drop a comment, say hello, tell me you disagree with the review, hey, whatever. Now let's dive into the film. In Alien Romulus, we follow a group of overworked miners seeking to escape their harsh life by stealing cryogenic chambers from a derelict space station that they've learned about. As they explore the abandoned vessel, they uncover a terrifying secret that the station is infested with deadly alien life forms. Trapped and outnumbered, the young miners must fight for survival against the relentless alien creatures. I had mixed emotions going into this film, and partly because I was worried that Hollywood was going to go ahead and screw this up, especially Disney, which have been on a trend of screwing up films as of late. But then there's Fede Alvarez, and he gave me a glimmer of hope that we were going to get something special, having seen his previous films. Now, one of the things that he quickly addresses is the shortcomings of the previous films, most notably the absence of a compelling character akin to Ripley. And that is through introducing us to Rain and Andy, where Alvarez crafts a dynamic duo that instantly captivates the audience, evoking that same emotional connection that we felt with Ripley and Newt. It's their bond that is the emotional core of the film and propels us through it, where we're desperately rooting for their survival. This is established in the opening scenes of the film, where it expands upon the sinister Weyland Corporation and what they are doing to their planet. See, Rain and Andy are blue-collar workers struggling to get by on a planet that has no sun. It's just covered in a darkness from the soot that raises up from the mines that are being worked every single day. And it's here where we also meet our other characters in the film that are also struggling to get by until they learn of the abandoned space station. Not only does he give us characters that we can care about, but he soon plunges us into the claustrophobic horror of the original films. Once we reach the abandoned space station, which becomes a breeding ground for terror, not just from the iconic xenomorph and facehuggers that are there, but from the unforeseen horrors that elevate the franchise's mythology. But what we've seen that's become popular in a lot of these franchises coming back to the big screens is the requel rules.
You gotta build something new, but not too new, or the internet goes bug fucking nuts. It's gotta be part of an ongoing storyline, even if the story shouldn't have been ongoing in the first place.
Now, I'm gonna try to tread lightly here because we're now on the cusp of delving into spoilers, which I'm going to avoid. And this is something that you may have picked up on the trailer if you paid attention to it. Me, as I mentioned here many times before on the channel, I try to avoid trailers and not pay attention to them because you know studios this day, especially like Blumhouse, where they give us all of those details in the trailer and then we get there and it's like, okay, yeah, there's all the dots. I could have just watched the 3-minute trailer and knew what the hell was going on and not to spend all the money that I did to come to the theater. Anyway, the one thing that I focused on in the trailer was the facehuggers and how good they look. And that's something that if you didn't watch the trailer, maybe you heard about. Well, in Alien Romulus, they are unleashed early and often throughout the entire film, and they are more terrifying than the xenomorph themselves. Alvarez elevates them, transforming the facehuggers from mere plot devices into genuine antagonists. Their presence throughout the entire film is chilling and unforgettable. And if you have a little phobia of spiders, yeah, that's going to play out in this movie. There is one scene that you're going to see that's going to have you sitting at the edge of your seat or maybe even covering your eyes. And as the story progresses, it does take a sinister turn where hidden agendas begin to surface, creating tension amongst the characters just as the weight of the situation that they're in is beginning to unfold around them as the facehuggers are running rampant. But unlike the previous films that we've gotten since Alien and Aliens, Alvarez prioritizes horror over action and delivers heart-pounding suspense, something that we haven't seen for a very long time, and it's going to leave you breathless in some scenes. I would say that from maybe the middle of Act 2 to the end of the film, it becomes a white-knuckle ride as you're gripping onto your seat, as Rain, Andy, and the rest of the crew is fighting for their survival to escape the space station, faced with not only the xenomorphs, but their treacherous surroundings. But this is where the requel rules come into play, and this is where some people may start to get a little annoyed because we start pulling in all those elements from the other films. Now for me, Alien Romulus effectively taps into the franchise's core DNA, coming very close to replicating the heart-pounding sequence of the xenomorph tracking sequences from Aliens. The thing that made me fall in love with this franchise and scared me the most was that scene, and we got several scenes that put you on the edge just as much.
12 meters, 11, 10.
Then they're right on us.
9 meters. Remember, short controlled bursts. 8 meters.
However, my first negative for the film is about the xenomorphs taking a backseat to the immediate horror, which is the facehuggers, diminishing the xenomorphs' impact not only on the film and the audience itself, but on the crew that is looking to escape. Their threat is not really the xenomorphs as much as it is the facehuggers, and that kind of like, you know, I'm there to see some alien slaughter people, and while I did get some of that in there, it just wasn't enough. Then the film's pacing is a bit inconsistent when it comes to similar scenes that have played out in earlier films. We have sequences here that seem rushed, and it takes away from the deliberate tension that the original first two films had built up. There is also a particular plot point in the middle of the film. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've seen it, and you'll definitely know it when you see it if you haven't seen it when you watch the film. That is kind of concealed as to why it's happening, and it may confuse some people that are watching it, because if you're not familiar with the franchise lore or a single line of dialogue that came up that explains why the surprise is there, but I was okay with it. After I kind of put the pieces together, I was like, yeah, alright, it makes sense now, aside from the little CGI effects around it, but I can accept that. I'm not going to harp over or CGI after I've seen films like Blade Trinity or Jeepers Creepers Reborn. So, little minor flaw here I can certainly overlook compared to what I've seen delivered by studios in the past. Now, as I mentioned, the film does use nostalgia callbacks, and that can be a double-edged sword. While it generates some excitement in the audience and definitely reconnects them with the franchise, and there are things that may happen or are said that kind of rub you the wrong way, but it does make the audience clap, it does make the audience cheer. It also raises the question about the film's originality. This approach kind of reminds me and matches the approach that they took with Scream 2022, where we were expanding on the Ghostface character to not only satisfy the longtime fans, but also looking to introduce new fans to the franchise. So the balance between nostalgia and innovation to follow if we do get a sequel to this movie is what will determine the film's overall success going forward. Where Scream 2022 hit us in the feels and brought us back to the horror roots of that franchise, just like Alien Romulus will do, Fede Alvarez is really going to have to avoid the pitfalls and the traps that came along with Scream 6 and giving us all the Scream nostalgia callbacks and all the 200 plus Easter eggs that they gave us. What he needs to do is take the franchise in a new direction now that he's gotten us all caught up. He's made us feel all warm and fuzzy, like a blanket that's just tossed over us because our Alien franchise is back, and now he needs to forge ahead, separate path, new story, and forget about the rest. Maybe sprinkle in some things here and there to tie the films together, but it has to stand alone now. No more nostalgia, no more callbacks. Let's get a fresh story and let's move forward and have it become its own thing. Alien Romulus, for me, it is going to be 4.5 stars. It was that good. The horror elements that were there were just next level, and I think it was a lot more terrifying than what we've ever seen before. And then the expanded lore, it made sense, and I liked it, and it was good to learn that stuff that we haven't seen before on why certain things happen the way they do in the entire franchise, so that was a nice add to it. But then again, like I said, there was some minor little details, like not having the xenomorph featured as much as the facehugger, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Well, this probably would have been a 5 out of 5. Now, this being a 4.5 star movie, it disrupts all the rankings that I had going for the year, as it breaks the top 5, and not only my films for 2024, but my horror films for 2024. So if you want to see how it fares in the top 5 against the rest of the list, go and check out my Letterboxd page. And before we go, don't forget to drop a like, a comment. Don't forget we're giving away this Puppet Master Blu-ray box set, and I'll see you on the next. See you.